Well, hello and welcome to This Month in Hamilton, our January 2023 edition. While we're a few weeks into the new year, just want to start out by wishing you all a happy new year as this is our first broadcast in 2023. Hope the new year finds you well as we start this 2023 journey together. Want to start out by thanking WBCB 1490 AM as well as our sponsors. Angelo Onifree in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saul Funeral Homes. This year we start our first show with our guest Matt Carey. Matt is the head of the Mercer County Technical Schools as well as the Special Services School District of Mercer County. So a lot of good things we're going to be talking to Matt about. I just came back from a conference in Washington, D.C., had the opportunity to sit and hear from the president as well as different cabinet members of his administration as well as other elected officials. And one of the overriding themes was 100 years ago, getting your high school diploma was considered the golden ticket to a middle-class lifestyle in this country. But as things change and the world changes and life changes, right? Having just a high school diploma does not necessarily guarantee that middle class lifestyle. Many people go into college, many people don't. But for those that don't, getting additional education, getting additional training, either in high school or after high school in some form or another, whether it be through Mercer County Technical Schools, whether it be through a trade apprenticeship, etc., is really needed so much to be able to put yourself and your family in a position to be able to earn a living wage and live in this country in that middle class lifestyle that so many of us strive for. So Matt is a great guest to have on today to talk about his background, to talk about the schools he oversees and really kind of what their goal, their mission, and their purpose are. And my hope is that you get a little education out of it yourself to use upon to put maybe yourself, your kids, your grandkids in a position where they can pursue some type of education or training and put themselves on the path to a great future. So I'll start out talking about what we have going on in Hamilton this month and over the next several weeks and months. We sit here on January 24th, 2023, and we have our first, I guess, snow event potentially this week, although it looks like under an inch, which I'm totally okay with. So, knock wood, we haven't had any real snow events this year. I always talk about how I enjoyed the snow until I had to start worrying about how it was going to get paid for removal of snow. So I don't mind now not having any real snowstorms as we sit here on January 24th of 2023. Obviously, we have the supplies, we have the tools and all that ready when and if it should occur, but looking at least through the end of January, it doesn't look like we have any snow forecasted of any significance for the rest of this month. Looking ahead, we've already been in contact with the St. Patrick's Day Parade Committee. They have a great Grand Marshal this year, Mick Conboy, out of Longford Landscapes, and we have a date already for the parade. It'll be the second Saturday of March, and so I know last year we had a phenomenal turnout. It was the first parade we had in several years due to the pandemic, and last year we even had to wait an extra week because on the actual date it was raining and we couldn't get it in. But last year there was a little rain that morning, a little rain that evening, and so we were able to fit in the parade perfectly. It was a nice temperature, it was nice and sunny, and so we're hoping not to have to use the rain date this year, but get the parade in as scheduled on the second Saturday of the month in March. From where you sit, you should not notice any difference. Parade will start at Nottingham Firehouse, go down Mercer Street, and then down Nottingham Way, all the way to close to the 5 Points intersection there. So I know last year we had a huge turnout. as it was the first parade in many years due to the pandemic. But I hope all who came out last year to really celebrate not only the township but Irish heritage and all those who participate in the parade, you'll come out again this year as well. It's a great day. It's great free entertainment if you have kids. And now that I have my 2-year-old, I especially appreciate those free entertainment days that you get to make sure they're out of the house and enjoying their time with friends or family and being entertained in a different way. So again, more details to come. We'll have the signs up around town for the event. So whether you're going or just avoiding the traffic that is caused by it, right? We want to make sure you're well prepared, you're well informed on what's going on. As to an update on the new municipal complex, I know if you drive by the current site now at the corner of Whitehorse and Klockner Avenue, you've seen the sign saying site of the new municipal building or new municipal complex. I've taken to calling it a complex because, again, the goal is for it to be roughly half occupied by the school district, roughly half occupied by the municipal government, and so it's really a municipal complex, with the goal being that for most services that you may need on a daily basis, you've got one-stop shopping. It'll be one-stop shopping for meetings, whether it's a school board meeting, council meeting, planning, zoning board meeting, etc. And so again, we really want it to be a cohesive site for the entire municipality. But we have partnered with the Mercer County Improvement Authority to help us through this project, as they're the ones who have the expertise in getting public buildings completed from inception to all the way to the end. And through them, we've hired Spiesel as our architect, a Hamilton-based architecture company. So we're very excited to keep that local as well. And we had our kickoff meeting with them just last week, last Tuesday. And so over the coming weeks and months, we'll be having, between the township and the school district, meetings with them for each division and department that'll be in the new complex. But we've also told them, from both the school district and the township's point of view, that it's a requirement that they have public meetings as well. We want to hear from the public on what they would like to see at the site, what they would like to see in the new building. And so we'll probably have 2 meetings, maybe one in the afternoon, one in the evening, so we know people have different schedules. They can get to either one, just to hear what the public would like to see at the site or, as I said, in the new building. So that's how we started this with, once we acquired the site, really getting public input on what people would like to see there. And that's how we had somebody submit saying, why don't you do a joint municipal complex, which really struck us as a great idea. So again, we want to go out to the public to get your submissions on different things you may want to see or have on site as well. So we're looking forward to that. There'll be more information probably in the next month or two, when and where those meetings will be. But I want to raise them now just to let you know that we will be having them, that it is important to us that we hear from you. And we hear your thoughts and ideas as well, because the more thoughts and more ideas we get, the better this complex will be. Again, you've got a current municipal building that's from 1928, a school board building that I believe is from 1898 or thereabouts, right? So you're talking over 200 years of municipal buildings getting put now into one building. That building certainly... the new building probably won't last 200 years collectively, right? But we want to make sure it's set up for long-term success for the town to provide better efficiencies and just a better meeting space for everything that we have going on in town. In terms of just other things you'll see this year that I think we should highlight, I know many of you, if you're like me, you drive Whitehorse down near Cooser Avenue, and if you're like me, you get annoyed with the bumpy roads and the patch jobs. PSE&G is doing a major infrastructure improvement in town and laying new gas lines, and obviously we know how important it is to make sure our infrastructure is up to date, and I really want to thank PSE&G for reinvesting in our community and seeing the need for it. The gas is what provides many of us our heat in our homes, And so we need to make sure all of that is working in good condition. PSE&G will be repaving those streets, but they're still in the middle of that project. So at this time, it doesn't make sense, especially the paving has to be done in warm weather too, so you can't do it right now either. But I don't want anybody thinking that the streets will be left that way permanently once PSE&G is done. So there's still a lot of work PSE&G has to do. You'll probably still see a bunch of their trucks on Cooser or on Whitehorse Avenue, right? It's like I said, it's a major infrastructure investment into our town, again, for our benefit. But we're working positively with them to make sure when the project is done that everything is put back how it is, especially because the county recently just repaved a large section of Whitehorse Avenue. We want to make sure that pavement is as good as new and continuing on down to Cooser Road. Some other projects you'll see or hear that are near completion right up the street from that, across from our police station and our library, is the Project Freedom complex. That will be finished this year. We're very excited to have that project completed. There'll be 71 units that are affordable, many geared towards people with some type of developmental disability to provide them an independent living environment. So we're very excited about that one, especially because with it being right across the street from our library, for many people who may be wheelchair bound, etc., they'll have an easy way to get to and from the library. Obviously, the library is ADA accessible as well. And so it's an exciting opportunity to have that right there across from the library, across from the police department, so that if they need any of those services, they have them right there as well. We also just finished year 2 of our fire consolidation, and I say finished year 2. While the consolidation is legally complete, it still takes a number of years to get this merger really operating to its full effect. To you as the resident, you should not have seen any impact in service, in call times, etc., right? But the work of originally Chief Kramer and now Chief Tazi, putting in the many hours to make it a success is a lot on them, a lot of our administration, but it's imperative that we get it right. And so I want to commend them, and especially now Chief Tazi, who's putting in that time. Many of you may have seen an article on some changes that even took effect January 1 with some new fire apparatus, etc., and their placement. So it's an ongoing thing, right? It does take a few years like any big project does, but we're really excited now as we enter year 3 of this consolidation effort. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Matt Carey of the Mercer County Technical Schools, as well as the Special Services School District, to talk about all the exciting things he has going on. So we'll be back in just a moment.
Capital Health presents Capital Healthy Living for seniors who want to stay independent. As a member of Capital Healthy Living, you get transportation to all Capital Health doctor visits and other activities. You get easy access to over 400 primary care doctors and specialists. You also get assistance scheduling your appointments with Capital Health doctors, plus life coaching and direct answers to any and all medical questions. This is usually a $50 per month fee for all these services. You can cancel at any time, but sign up now and get the first 2 months free. For more information, visit capitalhealth.org. That's capitalhealth.org. Capital Health, minds advancing minds. Today's show is being brought to you by Angelo Onifrey in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office as a public service to the community. Angelo Onifrey urges you to stay involved in your community and to also support the youth of our community. They are tomorrow's future leaders in Mercer County. This message brought to you by the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, who hope you enjoyed today's show.
Radiology Affiliates Imaging has been part of the Hamilton community for over 50 years, with 2 convenient locations, RAI Chi Hamilton and RAI Lawrenceville. We offer expertise in all areas of imaging for all members of your family. Our board-certified specialty radiologists offer expertise in women's imaging, interventional radiology, musculoskeletal and diagnostic radiology, Whether you need an MRI, CAT scan, ultrasound, mammogram, or X-ray, we offer the latest in imaging technology and interpretation. In the last 50 years, RAI has earned our place amongst the largest and most respected radiology groups in our area. For more information on all RAI has to offer, visit www.4rai.com.
Well, welcome back to This Month in Hamilton. I want to again start out by thanking our sponsors, Angelo Onifrey in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saw Funeral Home. So, Matt, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mayor Martin. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. So I gave a little bit of an introduction just in our first segment that we would be having you as a guest today, right? But just for the audience, if you can tell them, what your role is with the Mercer County Technical Schools.
Sure. Well, thank you for having me today. It's an honor to be here. And, one of my favorite things to do is talk about the schools, whether it's Mercer County Technical Schools or Mercer County Special Services. So I grew up in Atlantic City, Atlantic County. Went to local high school there and graduated, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, but I was in the CTE program there, which stands for Career and Technical Education. One of the things we do a lot in education is we come up with acronyms for the names of our programs.
I'm from the Air Force. There was plenty of acronyms in the Air Force,
okay,
too.
outstanding.
So, yeah.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for your service, and I'll talk a little bit about mine as well. I spent some time in the Marine Corps after high school.
Oh, I apologize for that.
My dad was in the Air Force. After high school, I had been in the CT program for culinary and thought that was going to be my field. And during my senior year, I started to feel a little bit different about that as a career choice and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps and signed up for the infantry. Spent 4 years traveling the world and serving my country. It was wonderful. And with that, I earned the GI Bill and decided to go on to college. My first degree, which is my bachelor's degree, was actually in criminal justice because, I thought that, going from the military to a criminal justice degree would lead to a career in law enforcement. But as I was finishing up that bachelor's degree, I took a substitute teaching position just for some extra money, and most of my classes were at night. And I just fell in love with it. And at that point, I knew that education was going to be my career and it was my passion. So I quickly changed my track. I did finish my BA, but I went right into a master's program. Earned my master's in special education with a teaching certificate, and I started teaching at Burlington County Special Services and Technical Schools.
Oh, wow.
Which is interesting because now that, when we get to where I am now, it's really like the bookends of my career. I started at a county special services and technical school, and now I'm, 50 years old and here at, for the end of my career,
Sure.
At a special service technical school. I taught for 5 years. It was wonderful, but I knew that administration was where I wanted to go. So I went back to school again and got another master's degree.
There's a theme here.
Yes, a lot of school. Yeah, and that's with education. Any school administrator that you talk to is going to have a minimum of a master's degree. Most of us have multiple master's degrees and/or doctoral degrees, and different accreditations that go along with it. So I became a supervisor of education at Burlington County Special Services, and then from there I took my first job as an assistant principal, moving into the principalship. Went back to Atlantic County, which was where I grew up. Spent about 15 years down there as a assistant principal first. Then I was a director of special services, director of student services, assistant superintendent, and then I took a superintendent's job in Salem County. And then this position came up, and it was just something that I couldn't pass up the opportunity. Went through a really rigorous hiring process. I will say that both boards of education did their due diligence to select their superintendent, and I was blessed to be the one to be chosen, and I began my position on July 1st of this year. So it's been a little over 6 months.
Yeah. So how's the first 6 months been?
It's been outstanding. I really have enjoyed the transition. I like working in the county system. It's very different than working in your local system. They both have their pluses and minuses, but I really enjoy it. I have wonderful boards of education. My Board of Education president on the technical side is Mr. Bill Pittman. He's been our board president for years, very dedicated to the technical schools. And then on the special services side, we have Stacy who does such a great job with our special services side. She's new to that position, but has a background in education. I'm sorry, I didn't say her last name. Santos, Stacy Santos.
I know
Yep.
Stacy very well. Hamilton person.
Yes, she's a Hamilton
resident,
person as
yeah.
well. And then on the tech side, which is how we ended up meeting each other through the Hamilton partnership, is Ilana Singer, is our vice president on the tech side. And she said, you have to meet Mayor Martin. You have to come to our partnership meeting and meet some of the people. And that was really a wonderful experience. And that sparked into several other relationships. Several of the people that I met at the partnership meetings, we've gone on and had more interactions, whether visiting our campuses or virtual meetings or discussions. But one of the things I did when I started in the job was, most superintendents do this, is they do what's called a 100-day entry plan. And that's really about getting to know the school district itself, because when you're coming from a different school district, you know what you know as far as preparing for the interview process and getting ready to go through that. But you really need to understand what's really going on in the schools, and that's what really the 100 days are about. So that was very beneficial to me, to get to know my team, to understand what our goals were. What are some of the things that we're excelling at? What are some of the things that are in need of improvement? What our facilities look like? What is our short-term goals and our long-term goals? And then from that leads into a whole discussion about developing a strategic plan. Which is something very interesting. We are going to be entering into the strategic planning process in the next coming weeks for both school districts. So I invite anybody out there who's listening to this, visit our website if you're interested in special services or the technical side, and sign up for our strategic planning. You don't have to be a parent. You don't have to be an employee. You just have to be interested in the future of our schools. And we serve so many students from Hamilton Township at both of our school districts. So I think that anybody who's interested in joining in, we would love to have you. And just visit our website. Just do a search for either district, and you'll see right at the top on a banner is the ability to sign up for our strategic planning. So it's been a great transition. Hard to believe it's been 6 months. It moved very quickly. But
it always does, right?
Yeah. But I'm so blessed to be here, and this is really a dream for me, dream come true.
Now, I know as you talked about boards of educations, right, with
Yes.
the plural, and talking about the two separate districts you're the head of, right? But let's talk about technical schools first, if we can. So
Absolutely.
for those who don't know, right, what is Mercer County Technical Schools? What are they involved in? For anybody who just is a layperson
Absolutely.
on all this.
So the technical schools are a high school-based program. We have 2 entry points for Mercer County Technical Schools. You can either come in as a 9th grader, so we start promoting it in 8th grade for a high school choice, and then they would come for all 4 years into one of our 3 academies. The 3 academies are our Culinary Academy, which is our biggest academy, and we can talk more about that because that's one that really has a lot of highlights to it. We have our STEM Academy, which is relatively new. That was started in the last couple of years. STEM, another acronym for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then we have our Health Careers Academy that's over at Aston Pink. And those are 4-year programs that really track the students into an industry-based credential, so they can either move right into the workforce in that field, or they can choose to go on to a secondary school or college to pursue a associate's or bachelor's degree in that chosen field. And then the other entry point is our shared time programs, and that's our biggest programs that most students will choose, and that starts in 11th grade.
Okay.
And they'll go to their home school district either in the AM or PM, because we have 2 sessions each day, and then they'll come over to us for the second half of their schedule or the first half of their schedule, depending on which section they're in, and they'll pursue many of the offerings that we have. We can go through all of them as well, but we have criminalistics is one that comes right to mind. Our cosmetology program, we have a horticulture program, and we're actually starting to delve into hydroponic growth.
Oh, wow.
We have electrical engineering, we have diesel mechanics. We have, body shop. We have, being able to do that type of auto. We have carpentry. We have diesel mechanics. And I'm sure I'm missing a few, but we have quite a bit. There's a very large offering. And then one of the things that I was really blessed to do was I was able to hire a new assistant superintendent a couple of months after I started. The assistant superintendent had been with the district for quite some time, and she chose to retire, and we wish her all the best. But I got to hire somebody new And he's come in with a whole different eye for things and looking towards the future. So we're really looking at some programs that would be more attractive to today's type student. So we're looking at a gaming program, a coding program. So these would be more towards students who are interested in that side of technology, which is such a growing field that's going on right now.
Absolutely.
And then our Board of Education, as I said, they're wonderful people. Our Board of Education is different than what would be like the local Board of Education. Local boards of education are elected, elected officials that go through the process of elections. Ours are appointed by the county executive commissioner. So they're appointed by the county executive, and then they come on to our board, which is really nice. I've had both boards in my career as a superintendent. But the thing that I really like about our board is they all have a unique background that is in unison with what our mission is at Mercer County Technical Schools. In fact, we even have board members who attended our schools back when they were of high school age and went into the career that they followed. So that's really an exciting part about our board. They're very mission oriented and interested in the growth and the future of our school district.
So we talked a little bit about recruitment, right? And the 4-year program, you start recruiting in 8th grade. If you're like, it sounded like you or me, right? In 8th grade, you have no idea what you want to do, right?
Absolutely.
Which is probably why your 2-year program is larger than your 4-year program,
Correct.
right? But how do you go about recruiting? I guess it starts right around 10th grade then.
Yes. Well, we have a director of CTE, Career and Technical Education. His name's Mick Orff. And Mick is our biggest promoter. Obviously I'm part of it as well as far as the principals and everybody, but he's our our spokesperson. So what he does is he goes out to the local school districts around Mercer County and speaks to middle school students about what we offer. And then the other thing that we've really done over the last couple of years, and I've continued with that since taking over as superintendent, is we really have a robust platform on social media. And that's how we attract the students. We're doing podcasting, we are doing Instagram, we've even delved into the Twitter world and TikTok, and then we have a YouTube page where we do, I have my own show called the Superintendent's View.
Oh, wow.
And we actually did a fun skit, if you've ever seen the show, The Undercover Boss. Well, we did the Undercover Superintendent, where obviously the kids knew with the gray beard, but where I dressed up as a student and I went into the various academies and did what a student would do each day. And, we made it a really fun time. But our principals also do their own show called The Principal's Office. And then on top of that, we have a podcast called the MCTS Experience, which is Mr. Nash and Mr. Orff. Mr. Nash is our coordinator for all of our internships and job placement for the district. So we try to reach the students where they are, as well as the parents. And kids, it's really neat today. Kids have a lot of choices, where they get to go to school, whether you're talking about us as a technical-based school or whether you're talking about interdistrict school choice. I mean, students don't necessarily have to go to school in the town that they live in, which is very different than when I was young and I was a student.
Sure. So, Matt, we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue talking about MCTS, but also some of the things you have going on with the special services as well.
Sounds great.
All right. So we'll be back in just a moment.
Today's show is being brought to you by Angelo Onifrey in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office as a public service to the community. Angelo Onifrey urges you to stay involved in your community and to also support the youth of our community. They are tomorrow's future leaders in Mercer County. This message brought to you by the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, who hope you enjoyed today's show.
Radiology Affiliates Imaging has been part of the Hamilton community for over 50 years, with 2 convenient locations, RAI Chi Hamilton and RAI Lawrenceville. We offer expertise in all areas of imaging for all members of your family. Our board-certified specialty radiologists offer expertise in women's imaging, interventional radiology, musculoskeletal and diagnostic radiology. Whether you need an MRI, CAT scan, ultrasound, mammogram, or X-ray, we offer the latest in imaging technology and interpretation. In the last 50 years, RAI has earned our place amongst the largest and most respected radiology groups in our area. For more information on all RAI has to offer, visit www.4rai.com.
Capital Health is ready to see you. Wondering if it's the right time to reschedule that doctor's appointment, lab or imaging test, or hospital procedure? Capital Health is ready to see you again. All of Capital Health's hospital and outpatient care locations are open and ready to accept appointments. When you're ready to get back to health, rest assured, Capital Health is ready for you.
Well, welcome back to This Month in Hamilton. I want to again start out by thanking our sponsors, Angela Wanafree in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saul Funeral Home. So, Matt, I know in the first segment we learned a little bit about you in the technical schools, and there's more to go over with that, right? But again, almost in a bifurcated manner, right?
Sure.
Coming out of the break. Talk to us a little bit about the Special Services District that you also run.
Absolutely. Being a county superintendent of two districts, when I first took this position, I was thinking, okay, so I'm in charge of two districts, thinking this is almost like two jobs. But what I've found is that they have a lot in common and we do a lot of sharing back and forth. So there's a lot of shared service. And our board president, who I mentioned in the first segment, Stacy Morgan Santos, she is very in tune with that as a way to keep our budget in line and sharing services between the two. But they're completely separate school districts with completely separate missions. The Special Services School District is located, in the same complex that the community college is located, so we're right off of Hughes there. We have three schools, the JFC school, which is our school for preschool students through third grade. And then we have Mercer Elementary School, which is 4th through 8th grade. And then we have Mercer High School, which is high school age students. But the differences with the Special Services School District is students with IEPs, individual education plans, they have the right to go to school till they're 21 years old. So our high school students come into the high school at around 14, 15 years old, and then they stay generally till they're 21 years old. Very different in the needs of what our district, has to offer. Related services is really, as I like to say, our bread and butter. And when I say related services, for people who aren't really sure what related services are, we're talking about occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, behavior therapy, all the things to help our students, because all the students who come to Mercer County Special Services, have a specific disability that they're diagnosed with.
Sure.
Whether it's autism or having multiple disabilities, behavioral disabilities, which is now, it used to be called behavior disability BD, and now it's referred to as emotional regulation, so ER. But we have roughly 500 students who come to us every day.
Wow.
They have unique needs. But it's an amazing program, and we do such wonderful things. And I think that, sometimes being the Special Services School District, a lot of people don't really know what's going on there. And it's just such a neat environment. The educators that work there are just amazing people. We have a really supportive Board of Education. In fact, our board vice president, their child went to our schools at one point. So we really have a great board who understands the mission of Special Services. But, with Special Services, I had mentioned in the first segment that I started my career at Burlington County Special Services. They've gone through a very major change in the last 15 years. Meaning that more and more school districts are choosing to educate their students with special needs in their home districts. Inclusion is a big big push, and I understand that, having come from the pre-K to 12 school districts. Also, budgeting and costs and things like that come into play when you're making those decisions. But my goal in coming in was not to be in competition with the local school districts. It's to be in partnership with the local school districts. How can we best help you? So I've been working with the superintendents, Dr. Rocco and I have become very close, and we talk, quite often. We have monthly meetings together. And really what we're trying to do is we're really trying to change what people think about what a special services school district does. We do all the things that a regular school district would do too. We celebrate our successes. We have our good days and our bad days. We have sports teams. Lots of our students
Oh, wow.
participate in Special Olympics. We have a great softball team and a soccer team. I've got to catch a couple of their games since I first started. So it's very unique in what we do. But we are also entering into strategic planning, and one of the major things we need to do is decide where we are going to be in the future. And I really think, we're at that point now as far as our enrollment is concerned. We've been somewhere between 450 and 500 students now for the last couple of years. Obviously, the pandemic,
Impacted that.
impacted greatly. Special services, I know everybody was impacted greatly by the pandemic. But if you think about going to remote instruction and how that worked in a pre-K to 12 district, well, now try to imagine that for a special service school district, working with students who have, very specific learning needs and related service needs. So it was very difficult, and I think that it really impacted our district, and we're still seeing some of the impacts as we get further and further away from the pandemic. But I think that the sun is shining, so to speak, and good things are happening at Mercer County Special Services, and I'm really excited about the future of the schools and what we're going to do and what we're going to be doing to serve the students and their families, and working in partnerships with the school districts of Mercer County.
That's awesome. So you talked about Dr. Rocco and partnerships, right? Dr. Rocco is a great person. I'm sure you heard me talking about the municipal complex, right?
Absolutely.
Another example of a partnership, right, between two agencies that didn't always have that partnership, right? And now trying to develop it, cement it, and make it permanent, right, for the benefit of the town. It sounds like the same kind of thing
Absolutely.
with the special services districts. So do most of your, I don't know if referral is the right term, right, to use for students, do they come from a local district that way?
Yes. So what happens is, all students are by law are required to be educated in the least restrictive environment. So we are, as a special services, we are considered a more restrictive environment. So the goal for every student is to be in their home district, but sometimes their disabilities are more than the home district can provide for.
Sure.
So what we hope to do, because we are in competition with private schools, is we hope to be the first choice when a district and a family is talking about an out-of-district placement. And that's really what we are. We are considered an out-of-district placement. So the child study team and the family will collaborate, and then they will contact us, and we'll do an intake. We take them on a tour of our building, depending on what program they're going to be in. We sit down with the parents and the child study team case manager and talk about what the needs of the students are. We make sure that we have the right program and the right fit. But one of the things that I've really brought since I've gotten here was, we might not have the program, but we can certainly build a program. So we don't want to turn any student away. Our goal is if the home district feels like we can best educate, then we're going to make every effort to ensure that we do that for that student, so that we're always the first choice when it comes to out-of-district placements for our students. But it's a year-to-year thing. And that makes it a little bit difficult in budgeting as well, because when you're in a pre-K to 12 district, you can look at your kindergarten class and then your graduating class, and you can kind of see where you are longitudinally with your enrollment. You can say, okay, obviously if I'm just going to use an example, our kindergarten class, has 40 less students than our graduating high school class. We need to talk about maybe consolidating and looking at ways to, decrease spending, because we're looking at a reduction in enrollment. Each year, our students have what's called an annual review. And at that annual review, you have to discuss least restrictive environment. And the goal for special services, and it's really an interesting way of doing things, but our goal is to, if possible, get the student back to their home district.
Your goal is to not have them.
Correct. Yeah, it's almost like we put ourselves out of work. But but what happens is, there's always more students who come in, and some return to their home district, but some, need what we offer, and they're going to need that for their entire, school-aged life. And we have students who start with us, when they're 3 years old, and they'll be with us for 18 years until they're 21 years old. and they go through a whole progression of education, which really culminates with the senior. We call them seniors and super seniors, so 18 to 21, and that's community-based instruction. Getting our students out into their communities, putting them on job sampling and structured learning environments where they can learn what it's like to be, whether it's in a job or whether they have a job coach with them, or what they are going to be doing after they graduate, because that's the biggest concern parents will have when we get towards that 18 to 21-year-old age. The parents start thinking, okay, what's next? What am I going to do when this ends? I have this wonderful place where my child gets to go 210 days a year, because we run a full extended year program, so our students come to us 210 days a year, which in a regular school district would be 180.
Yeah.
What are we going to do next? So we also have services to connect them with the outside agencies, whether it's the ARC or the
services.
DDD,
Yeah.
all the wraparound that they're going to need. And we have such a wonderful story. I always like to tell it. We hired one of our graduates. His name's Patrick, and he works in our maintenance department and custodial maintenance, buildings and grounds, and he does a fantastic job. And I always like to bring Patrick up because he's just such a great story. Having come from our school district, having graduated from Mercer County Special Services, and then come to work for us. And he's there every day, and he's got a bright smile on his face. But he's a success story that I always like to talk about, and I use him as an example when I talk about other students, that this is what your child could be doing, if we get them in the right place and connected with the right people.
And Steve Cook over at Mercer Arc does a phenomenal job. He's got more energy than I think I can ever have.
Yeah, absolutely.
For things, right? And I'm sure, again, I didn't know exactly what we'd be talking about, but I brought up our Project Freedom development across from our library, right? Which, again, partners with Mercer Arc sometimes because it's feeding that same clientele, so to speak, right?
Absolutely.
Those people who have some type of disability, who maybe need some type of assisted living or just a smaller living environment that they can manage and handle and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. And that's what we do. We try to connect them with that, whether it's going to be going into some type of assisted living or a group home setting, or they're going to be staying with their parents but getting services within the home, making sure that all those connections happen as well. And we also have the ARC on campus. They rent out a small section of the JFC school. So we have ARC services on campus as well.
All right. So, Matt, we're going to take our last commercial break here. But when we come back, we'll continue to talk more about all the great stuff you have going on.
Sounds great.
Radiology Affiliates Imaging has been part of the Hamilton community for over 50 years, with 2 convenient locations, RAI Chi Hamilton and RAI Lawrenceville. We offer expertise in all areas of imaging for all members of your family. Our board-certified specialty radiologists offer expertise in women's imaging, interventional radiology, musculoskeletal and diagnostic radiology. Whether you need an MRI, CAT scan, ultrasound, mammogram, or X-ray, we offer the latest in imaging technology and interpretation. In the last 50 years, RAI has earned our place amongst the largest and most respected radiology groups in our area. For more information on all RAI has to offer, visit www.4rai.com.
Merrill Reese, here to tell you about my good friends at Haldeman Ford Subaru on Route 33 in Hamilton Township. For outstanding sales and service, you can depend on the folks at Haldeman Ford Subaru for the best value on new and pre-owned Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs, along with a great selection of value-priced new and pre-owned Subarus. And no one offers the service that Haldeman does in their huge, state-of-the-art service facility. Service so great that many area municipalities and commercial fleets get their service performed by Haldeman Ford Subaru. From Langhorne to Princeton, folks like you to commercial fleets trust the name Haldeman for sales and service. Haldeman Ford Subaru, Route 33 in Hamilton Township.
So welcome back to This Month in Hamilton. Want to again start out by thanking our sponsors. Angelo Onofre in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saul Funeral Homes. So, Matt, when we had the opportunity to meet right at the end of last year, right, it was at our Hamilton Partnership meeting, which is a group of businesses in town, right, almost like a chamber of commerce that meet regularly to talk about what's going on in town, what's going on in their businesses, how we can all kind of help each other, right, and make a better Hamilton that way. And, you know, I heard about some of the partnerships and meetings and all that you kind of had derive out of your appearance there, this being one of them, right?
Absolutely.
But so much of what I hear from our businesses is a labor shortage or an educated labor shortage, right? And they feel a lot of youth aren't prepared for coming into their business. That's got to be such a big driver from either school, right?
Absolutely.
Many of those graduating from special services district, I know you try to prep and to go out into the workforce in their own way possible, whether that's a Mercer arc or something else, right? But the technical schools especially, right? And preparing our youth here in Mercer County to, when they graduate, many of them, if they're not going on for a specialized degree, then they're able to start working day one.
Absolutely. You know, all of our programs end with what's called an industry-based credential. So all of our students from the technical schools are walking out with a knowledge that would make them employable. We work on two things, and this was something, you know, I was meeting with the Workforce Improvement Board, and they were talking about what some of the partners that they work with were talking about with their incoming employees. And there's hard and soft skills. So your hard skills are your ability to do the job that you're being hired for. So let's just say a student coming out of our electrical program. They need to be able to do the work that needs to be done to work for that, you know, that electrical provider, whether it's a small business, you know, a mom and pop, as we like to say, or we're talking about a big electrical conglomerate.
Like a PSE&G.
Like a PSE&G. And actually, we work with PSE&G. They're one of our partners. I heard you mention them in your first segment. But then the soft skills, and that's, I think, one of the things that gets overlooked, especially, you know, I'm going to sound like that old man right now, but with this generation of kids, you know, whether you talk about the cell phones or the earbuds and things like that, those are their soft skills, being able to communicate effectively with people, problem solve, work with the other employees that you work with. That's a big part of what we do as well. Our students wear uniforms when they're in their academies, so they feel like they are actually on the job prior to actual employment. And that is just as important to us as the hard skills. Obviously, we want to teach them whatever that might be that they need to know, but also making sure that they're employable when they come out and they can function as a great employee for whoever they're going to work for.
Yeah. So I know you have a success story because the person who cuts my hair, her daughter is enrolled in the cosmetology at the technical schools, right, on the half and half program. And she's already told me her daughter's got a job lined up day after she graduates.
Absolutely.
To do her cosmetology at the same place I get my hair cut.
Yeah.
So
our cosmetology program is fantastic. We actually run two different cosmetology programs. The first one is the one that you mentioned, which is our shared time program for high school age students. But we also have a very robust cosmetology program in our adult evening program, which is for students who are 18 years or older and have graduated high school that are looking to come back and learn a skill.
So what's that, the evening program?
Yeah, it's actually it's a great program. It kind of had fizzled a little bit, I'll use that word, during the pandemic, and our enrollment was really down. When I got in, we had an interim administrator running it, and she did a nice job, but it was, an interim, and our enrollment was only around 120 clients. We refer to them as clients because they're adults. So one of the first things I said was, we really need somebody to spearhead this. So we hired a gentleman named Mr. Ryan Hamer. Ryan was a principal in another school district, but he is the principal of our evening program. And since Ryan came on board, he has just hit the ground running. Our enrollment is up to 250 clients, so he's added over 150 clients. And he works with a team. Not,
Sure.
Ryan's done a great job. He gets the credit. But if he were here, he would say it's a team effort. But really what we offer is similar to what we offer to the students during the day. We have plumbing, we have electrical, we have cosmetology, and Ryan's really looking at adding some carpentry, looking at adding some other programs in, whether it's getting your real estate license, looking at getting a CDL license. He also works with specific groups that have, whether that's scholarship monies. We're currently working with the African American Chamber of Commerce, and they have some scholarships for students. So we're taking students that might not have access to education, and we're educating them, making them employable. And then we also work with the Juvenile Justice Commission as well. So these are students that are having some issues with law enforcement, and they're in the corrections, and we're trying to give them an out, so to speak, to a life like that, and teach them a skill as well. So it's a really interesting program. It's called the Evening School just because of the when it's run.
Yeah.
Yeah, it runs in the evenings, Monday through Friday, and it's just it's a really neat part of Mercer County Technical Schools that not a lot of people know. That we do that as well. So we're really running a day program and a night program, during the course of the school year.
And you think about so many people, right? You talked about your experiences. You started in culinary, then you went to the Marines and criminal and wound up in education, right? And each tract in your life, you thought, well, that's the thing I'm going to do. No, well, that's the thing I'm going to do, right? Certainly same way. People ask me, what do you want to do? I said, I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up, right? I never thought I'd be mayor. Here I am. So many people don't know at 14 years old or at 16 or 18 years old what they want to do, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's fantastic you provide an opportunity
Sure.
For people who realize it at a later date.
Absolutely. And really, when you talk about, besides obviously, my passion is the two school districts I'm the superintendent for, because that's my job, but I'm also extremely passionate about education as a whole. And when you talk about career exploration, that's something that shouldn't start in 8th grade and then into high school. You should be talking about career exploration at the youngest levels. And whether it's just career cruising, just talking about different jobs, whether you're having career days or bring, where you bring your parent to work and they talk about their jobs. I've changed my mind 1,000 times during the course of my life about what I wanted to do. But you never know where that road's going to take you. So it's really good to have that exploration. And then I know other people, I have a brother-in-law who's an ear, nose, and throat surgeon, very, very accomplished. And he has known since the day he was probably 5 years old, I'm going to be an ENT, and I'm going to do everything I can to get there. So some people have that straight course and they accomplish it, and others like me, they zigzag all over the place, but they end up where they're supposed to be, as I like to say, in the end.
Yeah.
So that's something that we also think is very important, and we promote that with our students. Just because you're in this particular area, that doesn't mean you can't branch out and do something else. In fact, we had Penske Motors in just yesterday, and we were talking to our diesel mechanic students. But as we were talking to them, we also realized that, hey, this might also work for our collision, because those trucks get damaged as well. So we were kind of looking at that, and they said, well, we have people who come in as technicians and then they'll move over to collision, or we have people who come in as collision and move. So you go in and out of the business. And then the other side is actually the business side of having a technical background. Because yes, sometimes you can go to work for somebody or a big conglomerate like a PSE&G, to use one as an example, or a Penske. But also, how about starting your own business? So you have the hard skill of being able to do whatever that job is, but do you have the business side to be able to run your own business at some point? So we offer classes in entrepreneurship, owning your own business, business math, things along those lines, to help students if they want to go down that track as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then to combine your two worlds a little bit, right? Do you have visions of technical training for people who want to then go and be educators, right? Especially to a special services district or kids with disabilities, et cetera.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that we are looking at is a program called Tomorrow's Teachers. There's a shortage in educators right now.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a national issue, but it's a state issue for New Jersey, and it's a local issue for Mercer County. In fact, at our superintendent's roundtable every month, it is something that we talk about. It's a rolling agenda item. We always talk about it. We talk about it with the local colleges. What can we do to promote this as a profession? And I have my own philosophy. I believe this all started back in 2010, when a lot of things changed for educators as far as, their health benefits and, a lot of things. And I don't want to get into all that today. But a lot changed in education, and it became less of a job of, you feel really good about that you're doing it. And people started to leave the profession. And then I really feel like the pandemic was the straw that broke the camel's back. But, a lot of people think that the teacher shortage is a direct correlation to the pandemic. I don't feel that way. I feel that the teacher shortage started about 12 years ago in New Jersey, and the pandemic really was just the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of our teachers that have been here for a long time and decided, now's my time to retire. And as you retire people, you need a group coming up to take their spot. And as an example, when I first started hiring, probably my first administrative where I was in charge of hiring was probably about 15 years ago. I would have anywhere from 25 to 50 applicants for every job that we posted.
Wow.
Now we'll post jobs and we might not get a single applicant.
Wow.
So there is a major shortage. So a program like Tomorrow's Teachers could be between both districts, meaning we have an academy at the technical side, but we also go over to the special services side, and we have our preschool students as the students that our Tomorrow's Teachers interact with, while also bringing in our students from special services, because we have hired, I talked about Patrick and buildings and grounds, but we've hired some students to be instructional aides and one-on-one aides that have graduated from special services.
Wow.
So we could, put it all together.
Yeah.
So that's something that's, when I talk
those
about
synergies,
yeah,
right?
absolutely. When I talked about strategic planning, that's something that we're going to be delving into, when we get to strategic planning.
How long is that process, that strategic planning process?
It's about 5 months total. We're working with the New Jersey School Boards Association to facilitate it. We have a steering committee. They've already started their meetings. Steering committee obviously steers the process. But our first working group meetings are coming up in the month of February. The working groups will be special services on February 1st, and then the technical side will be February 13th. And what happens is you really go through a facilitated process of developing a robust strategic plan, which is really your roadmap for your school district over the next 5 years. And that touches on everything, whether it's the instruction, whether it's the budget, whether it's the facilities management, whether it's the partnerships. You really touch on all those things, and then you come up with goals that really are your roadmap for moving forward as a school district. And we're doing that on both sides. At the same time, we've never had one on either side.
wow.
So this is a first for both school districts. I guess maybe because we were county schools, that just, I don't really know why it didn't happen.
Sure.
But I've always worked with a strategic plan in every district I've ever been in, and it's really a great way. So to plug again, anybody out there who would like to join our strategic planning working groups, please visit our websites and sign up. We would love to have you there.
And just if you can, if you recall off the top of your head, what's the website they should be going to?
Okay, so special services is www.mcssd.org. And then Mercer County Technical Schools is www.mcts.edu. But if you get confused and it's not working, you can always just go to whatever search engine you use and put in Mercer County Technical Schools or Mercer County Special Services, and it'll take you right to their website.
And I imagine, again, whatever home district, right? So if you're in Hamilton, the Hamilton School District's going to have some information on how to get in touch with you, right? If you're
Absolutely.
in Ewing, the Ewing School District's going to have some information on how to get in
Yes,
touch.
yeah, and everybody's welcome. Like I said, you don't have to actually have an affiliation with the school district. Just being a resident of our county and a willingness to get involved in what goes on in the schools, because it's not just about the students and the families that attend our schools. We're all in this together.
Yep.
And it's really important that we get a great showing from all of our community stakeholders.
It's one of the unique places, right? Going to school with people from across the county, right? Most
Absolutely.
of us, for myself, right? K through 12, that was it. I was in my little elementary bubble, then a little bit bigger middle school bubble, then a little bit bigger high school bubble before I went off to college and had people from across the country, right? So it's a great learning tool on those soft skill sides,
Absolutely.
right? On how to deal with people. So, Matt, I want to thank you for your time today and joining us on This Month in Hamilton. It's been educational for me, to use a pun, right? I hope it's been educational for our listeners as well, but really appreciate your energy and your drive in leading the charge here for education in Mercer County. So
Great.
Keep up the great work. I want to thank you all for joining us again this month in Hamilton, thanking WBCB 1490 AM, as well as our sponsors, Angelo Onofre in the Mercer County Prosecutor's Office, Capital Health System, Haldeman Ford Subaru, Radiology Affiliates Imaging, and Saul Funeral Home. And we'll see you in February.